Suena el cel, soy yo el que te regaló el clavel Álvaro, porque no se equivoque. Soy como el sol.
Good luck.
You are great, so thank you.
It'll be good. Excuse-moi.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this roundtable discussion. I'm honored to serve as your moderator today as we explore key topics such as production trends, consumption patterns, and logistics and regulatory challenges, as well as the role of technology and innovation in the current international context. I'm delighted to introduce our distinguished panelists, each bringing unique expertise and insight from across the dried fruit industry. First, let me welcome Guillaume, General Manager of Pagisa and Nova Fruit International in Turkey. Guillaume was born and raised in Turkey, and after studying and working across Europe, he returned to lead his family 200 years old business in Izmir. With over 30 years of experience in the industry, he represents the ninth generation at the helm and is proud to have welcomed the 10th generation, his children, into the business. Next, we have Tony, CEO of Levantex, a Spanish company active across the entire dried fruit sector. As the eldest member of the third generation, he works alongside two brothers and a sister. With 36 years of experience at the company, Tony also leads the purchasing and procurement department. He holds a law degree from the University of Valencia. With a broad and strategic view of global markets, Tony brings valuable experience in sourcing, trading, and understanding evolving consumer demands. Joining us from Italy is Benny, import manager and international advisor for the esteemed Italian company of the same name, a prominent player in the dried fruit sector for 120 years. With deep knowledge of international supply chains and consumer preferences, Benny plays a key role in selecting high-quality products from around the world to meet the expectations of discerning European markets. And last but not least, Natalia, procurement director at Whitworth in the UK, with almost 20 years of strong background in international trade, strategic global sourcing and supply management across metal and agricultural commodities. Natalia oversees one of the UK's most established dried fruit procurement operations, ensuring product quality, compliance, and sustainability at every step. We are truly fortunate to have such a knowledgeable and diverse panel with us today. I look forward to a rich and engaging discussion and encourage everyone to participate actively as we dive into these vital topics. So we'll begin by presenting the annual production statistics, and then we will discuss during our roundtable about the impact of climate change on production and quality. We'll be discussing as well the evolving demand and consumption trends, then the logistical, regulatory, and commercial challenges, and then we will finish with the role of technology and innovation in our sector. Regarding dates, in the 2024-2025 season, global table date production dropped by 14% compared to the previous year, mainly due to alternate bearing and unfavorable weather conditions. In Tunisia and Algeria, the harvest was expected to be around 25% lower than a normal year. Heavy rainfall and high humidity level during the crucial ripening period in September disrupted the natural drying process of the fruit, leading to high risks of fermentation and quality defects. As a result, and after factoring in losses from climate impacts and various forms of infestation, the total production shortfall reached up to 45% less than a typical harvest. This year's dates are generally darker, softer, and more prone to post-harvest issues if not stored properly. Globally, Saudi Arabia was the leading producer of table dates in 2024-2025, and on average over the previous 5 years, accounting for 20% of global production in both cases. The other top producers of dates over the same time periods were the UAE, Egypt, Iran, Algeria, Tunisia, and Iraq. For the next season, total production is estimated to grow by 7% and stabilize around 1.3 million metric tons. World consumption of dates is evaluated to almost 1.2 million metric tons, with the highest consumption per capita in UAE, Saudi Arabia. And now I let the floor to Guillaume to present the figs and apricots statistics.
Thank you, Ahmed. So for the number of apricots, I think everybody knows the disaster that hit the Malatya area with the frost. Just to give you an idea, for the very few maybe who haven't seen pictures, imagine a Christmas postcard picture of Switzerland with pine trees and the snow heavy on the branches of the pine tree. Now, replace the pine tree with an apricot tree. And this is what we had. And the frost lasted for 3 nights, and temperatures were below zero for the whole area, and even the city center had below zero recordings for that night. So the crop did just not survive, and we are only going to have a very small portion. So we have a number here because we need to put a number. It could be 0, it could be 500, it could be 10. At this stage, we don't know. There's very, very limited volume of apricot that is going to be available, and those are unlikely to be dried, although maybe some brave growers will decide still to go ahead and sulfur them and pit them and dry them. So we have a number here, and then the other number is the carryover for Turkey, which estimates go from 40 to 60. It's very, very difficult to know. So we pick a number in the middle. And you can see also that from other areas where apricots are grown, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, the numbers are significantly higher than last season. This is not only because we think there is a higher production or a potential for a higher production, but it's also because we start to have a better understanding of what is growing in those areas. With Turkish crop having issues with availability, then there has been some research and more information coming from those countries. So as we understand better, the INC has updated the numbers, so you can see that there is a change from one season to the other there. So overall, there are fewer apricots, and we will discuss the implications later on. Figs, the month of May is terrible to give you an estimate on figs. So basically, we just pick a number, because until the very end of September, we don't know. We don't know because figs is extremely fragile, and even the wind blowing from the wrong direction can change the quality and the quantity of the crop. So these are the numbers. I don't think we need to go through and discuss them any further. Again, we have total availability looks to be increased, and we will discuss that shortly with the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Guillaume. So let's go on with our first theme, which is the impact of climate change on production and food quality, as we were mentioning for the dates and the apricots. The impact is terrible for both products. So I'd like to explore with you how is this already impacting your operations, your sourcing strategies, and your expectations on quality, and how do you see the role of innovation, diversification, and long-term planning in adapting to this new reality?
So what needs to be done to address climate change, I don't think this is something we can discuss here. I think we all know what needs to be done. Individually, we don't do it. And so we continue to deal with the consequences, I suppose. It's an extraordinary event that happened, but it also happened in 2014, not to that extent. And we did have a larger carryover. We did have, at the end of a larger crop, about 15,000 tons, if I remember well. So how do we adapt? Well, the first important thing is to make sure the apricots are not delisted, because once it's gone from the shelves, then it's going to be quite hard to replace. So we look at what we can do with the carryover, and we have to look at the alternative origins. So the beautiful thing about the other origins is that they're very different. So this is a bit of an obstacle at the same time, because it's not like for like. You don't replace a Turkish apricot with an Uzbek apricot. That's not going to happen, because physically, visually, texture-wise, taste-wise, they are quite different. But like dates, you have a variety of dates, and the customer have a choice amongst dates. So maybe this year it's a replacement, but going forward, maybe we have 2-3 types of different apricots available to the consumer. Like we already have natural apricots and sulfured apricots, and of course organic. Then we could have varieties of different apricots available. So every crisis brings opportunities, and I think we are exploring the world of apricots. Those countries, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan, have a broad variety of different products, not all good and consumable, not all maybe fit for the retail, but industrial, for example. And those production and processes will also improve and progress, and there are limitations, obviously. I mean, for the European market, the sulfur is a big obstacle, but there are markets that have above limits, and maybe those will focus on those origins, and what's left in Turkey is going to supply the EU market. In the short term, I think that's what we can say for try to make this not an opportunity, but at least sustain the presence of apricots in the shelves.
Thank you, Guillaume. Having looked at the challenges of the production side, let's now shift to our focus to the other end of the value chain, the consumer demand and evolving consumption trends for these 3 items. Let me take the example of dates, whose global production grew by 5% between 2019 and 2023, with a steady annual growth rate of around 4%. This growth is being driven by several key consumption trends, as the rise of healthy snacking, the shift toward natural sweeteners, the increased demand for organic and clean label products, the boom in processed dates products like syrup, paste, powder, puree, fillings, and finally the strong influence of Gen Z and millennials. So with these evolving expectations in mind, I'd now like to invite each of you to share your perspective. How is demand evolving in your respective countries or markets, and how are you adapting your products, offering, packaging, and marketing strategies to meet these new consumer needs? So if you may begin, Natalia.
Thank you. So I think that the most important thing to share in the beginning is that these dried fruits got actually just flat pattern across the year in terms of performance and dynamics. So there is a long way that we've got to bring something new and disrupt and just bring really just the dynamics to the categories. The UK consumer is actually engaging with health, And after the period of uncertainty during the cost of living crisis, they are starting to moving into just more positive health. And we are talking here about less processed, more natural, and that's actually the driver in terms of the trend versus actually calories reduction. Another impact in the markets got the UK government restrictions that has been introduced, which actually restrict HFSS products, which are high-fat, sugar, salt, from being sold in specific areas. However, we need to remember that dried fruit is not in these areas. So what that brings to the table, it brings great opportunities to grow sales within impulse areas and off-fixture areas. And we could see already that that's happening, and that's got really great effects. For example, dates that were on off-fixture within Tesco. So what we've been doing as a business, we've been evolving our strategy towards focusing on communicating amazing health benefits of this range of products and just making sure that we can actually use it as a tool to drive health benefits and just improve benefits of health in the UK. So there are a few aspects that we've already done. So we are launching single portion packs within the area as well, using these commodities, which actually helps to re-encourage the consumers to eat them on daily basis and educate about portion sizes, which is extremely important. Then as well, we are exploring probiotics to be used within dried fruit, and that would just bring another great health benefits and also add value to the category. And the third very important aspect is that dried fruit and figs, dates and apricots, they tend to be purchased by more, I would say, just mature generation, more affluent people, which actually gives us opportunity to bring them to younger shoppers, how to make them more appealing. So we've got Fusion range as an example, which is dried fruit infused with flavors that gives a bit of more excitement. And at the moment, as to date, we've got that within tropicals, but that's something that we are looking as well, how to bring that with dried apricots, figs and dates. So plenty of opportunities to go for.
Thank you, Natalia. What about Italy, Benny?
Thank you, Ahmed. Yes, I observed that every of these single product possessed its own distinct identity on the market. They are fast-moving consumer goods that notably experience sales peak in the immediately preceding Christmas period. Typically appear on the market between September and October, roughly. They effectively represent the core of the Christmas offering, talking about Italy at least. However, in Italy, and I guess this is a generalized trend across Europe, the traditional Christmas sales window is shrinking year after year. That means that due to the climatic change, that extend the enjoyment seaside to October, and maybe even for the evolving consumer attitude, habits, the result is undeniable. The time frame traditionally dedicated to Christmas has now compressed in approximately 45 days. For this reason, we embarked on a path of innovation, offering consumer a diversified range of products that allows sale to be distributed over a longer period, moving behind exclusive concentration on Christmas season. The introduction of new technology and cutting-edge consumption methods for these three products is yielding promising results, at least as far as for Italian market is concerned, I guess. It's increasingly evident looking at distributor shelf through Europe, how ingredients such as figs, dates, and apricot are skillfully integrated into high-tech products, like energy bars or other derivatives like that rapidly are gaining spaces on the shelf in general in the market. And there is bar, pastes, oil, and like are therefore complementing traditional offerings of these three products, opening a new avenues on sales and consumption, I guess.
Thank you, Benny. Tony, what about Spain regarding demand for these dried fruits?
Thank you. In Spain, we are observing a steady increase in consumption until 2021, mainly in the dry fruits. During 2022 and 2023, the market stabilized, and we are seeing now in 2024 and first quarter of 2025 that consumption has started to grow again, although I would say at a slower pace than before the pandemic. Concerning to younger generations, the younger they are, the more sensitive they tend to sustainability and environment concepts, but they also have less spending power. So it's important to focus promotion of organic, especially in this segment of consumers. Looking at individual categories, dates continue to show the most consistent growth. As you pointed out, we've especially seen a rise in date consumption thanks to their strong nutritional profile and their growing use as a natural sweetener. Figs are more challenging due to high prices and increasing regulatory controls, which make future demand harder to predict. Figs are facing greater challenges because due to stricter control regulations and higher prices. As a result, we believe that this will likely lead to a shift in consumption from Turkish to Spanish figs, which foresee a larger production, I think, in the short term, maybe not in 2025, but maybe in the next years. And concerning apricots, I think that as per Guillaume's report, there will be not too much to do. Also, talking to specifically organic, we are facing some troubles at time to develop organic markets due to regulatory issues, particularly with maximum residual limits in certain products. These are difficult to control and align with strict European regulations, leading some major retailers to remove affected items from their supply chain.
Thank you, Tony. Yes, as we were talking, so these three products, the consumption is growing out of the specific period, but still these three products, as especially I think figs and apricot, still are seasonal products. So here, Guillaume, I have two questions for you. One is regarding the seasonality. How does seasonality affect the planning and the operations? So from your perspective as a producer of figs and apricots, how do you manage seasonality and storage, especially in years when supply is tight or markets shifts? This is the first question regarding seasonality. And the second one is linked to the economic situation in Turkey, and particularly the high level of inflation and currency volatility in recent years. How is this affecting both domestic consumption and your ability to meet international demands Are you seeing shifts in buyer behavior, price sensitivity, or even product specification as a result?
Thank you for the question. I think the two are linked specifically for Turkey, where we have I'm going to say the benefits of very high inflation. Basically, it helps the grower to have a product that it's storable in ambient conditions as a raw material. So it's basically used as a cash crop. When we look at the apricot, for example, in a normal year, the grower will sell about a third of their production at harvest time, just after drying, to make sure that they cover the cost of harvesting and the debts they have incurred. And then the rest is sold more or less until the month of May. And because by May, we know if we had a frost or not. And in this case, we have a 40 or 60,000 tons carryover. And this is a little bit the insurance of the grower towards the frost issues. So we have a very big amount of growers in Turkey because the orchards are quite small, and they are controlled individually by families, and the sales happen when there is a need of cash. So you have either money in the bank or apricots in the warehouse. This is basically how it is. Figs is a bit different. Figs is a very interesting product. It is a dried fruit that behaves like a fresh fruit because it doesn't keep as well as the other dried fruits in ambient. Fortunately, when you compare what we were doing 20 years ago and today, we are now the capacity of storing all this in cold warehouses at the level of processors. But merchants or growers have not yet invested heavily in that style. There is investment for small capacity cold storage at the level of the growers, and that will allow them to keep the fruit for much longer, but it also distorts the market because it means that the best quality fruit they keep and it doesn't come to the market. So, but it comes 1 year late, or this is sold locally. This is specifically for figs. So the other problem with inflation is that it brings high cost of financing, which then doesn't help us with keeping fruit in the warehouse, obviously. The seasonality, it's less today because the traditional consumption of those products is shifting to maybe retail bags in the shelves of the supermarkets. And with increased labor costs, I don't know how long we can continue to do those traditional fig or apricot cartonettes in Turkey. So there is a shift, and the consumption, as Natalia said, for healthy reasons, is now spread among the whole 12 months.
Yes, we'll certainly have the opportunity to discuss it in our fourth topic. So as we move into our third theme, I'd like to focus on the logistical and regulatory and commercial challenges that continue to reshape the global market for figs, apricots, and dates. One of the most pressing issues right now is the impact of the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, which is creating major disruptions in supply chains, and particularly for dates export to Southeast Asia. So beyond the sharp increase in transportation costs, the biggest concern is the significant extension in delivery times, now delayed by 15 to 20 days. This is especially problematic for products like dates, where timing is critical, given their strong seasonality in these regions, and the fact that they must reach retail shelves at least 6 weeks before the start of Ramadan. Looking ahead for the 2025-2026 season, the situation becomes even more delicate. Stocks will be virtually depleted, meaning producers will have to harvest, sort, package, and ship in record time. Naturally, this will have a direct impact not only on raw material prices, but also on overall production costs and supply availability. So, Guillaume, considering your long experience in the export of figs and apricots, how have recent geopolitical and logistical disruption affected your ability to serve key international markets? And have you had to adjust your shipping schedule, your product mix, or your pricing strategy in response?
For us, not really, because our prime market is really Western Europe and the United States. But obviously, for some shipments we do to New Zealand, Australia, they have been affected, and some shipments took 4 months to get to Australia, and obviously sitting 2 months in Singapore doesn't help the quality of the product at all. So it does cause some issues.
Tony, as an importer working across multiple origins, I'd be curious to hear your view on sanitary controls, especially in Spain, which has implemented stricter inspection on Turkish figs in recent years. So how are these regulatory measures impacting your import planning and supplier relationships, and are they influencing your sourcing decisions and for the upcoming season?
I would say that there is a direct and negative impact because of administrative and sanitary issues can severely impact highly in the seasonal products, especially with figs. For example, this year we were facing new physical controls, not only in aflatoxin, which was the normal control we were having at the Spanish customs, and this caused even the range fin from 1 to 3 months at the major Spanish ports, and then as a result of that, some importers received the first shipments after the Christmas season, missing the key sales window. I think that there is a lack of coordination between main health authorities and main entry points at the Spanish ports, because in general, it's known that Europe maintains strict sanitary and phytosanitary standards, and this trend is intensifying, especially at the Spanish entry points. Physical inspection and alerts are becoming more frequent. Dates tend to face fewer control. Apricots now are checked not only on sulfur, but also on aflatoxin content. And figs, in particular, are subject near to 100% aflatoxin checks. And since last season, as I told, also ochratoxin. We believe it is essential to establish an harmonized approach among authorities, exporters and importers, having clear, pre-established guidelines for the specific tests required by product and by origin, and will help ensure full compliance with European Union standards while minimizing disruptions at both origin and destination. Because of all of this, our sourcing and purchasing teams have to plan much earlier than before. They also have to consider possible rejections at the border, which makes it harder to match supply with the real demand.
Yeah. Thank you, Tony. Natalia, from a UK distribution standpoint, managing both logistical delays and tightened sanitary regulation has become increasingly complex, especially post-Brexit. How is Whitworth adapting to these challenges to ensure product availability, quality, and compliance for sensitive items like dates, figs, and apricots? And are you having to work more closely with suppliers on traceability, certifications, or shipments planning?
I think that there are two things that probably it's worth mentioning. First is that anything that was actually relatively just straightforward 5-10 years ago, it's not anymore. We are in a completely different environment from a geopolitical perspective, climate perspective, and as well lifestyle of our consumers. So I would say that supply chain resilience is really just on the top agenda for ourselves, and what actually we do to make sure that we are delivering that is just working closely with the information. So proactivity, making sure that we actually know what kind of the decisions we can make. And that will just come to the cycle of the crops. So making sure we are securing the crop in the right moment, because that brings the availability and quality of the product. Then that we work with the right partners who will just look after the stock when it's still with them, that they will just keep it in the right conditions. and then during the transit period, and to make sure that we can actually support when the products are coming into our warehouses and just keep the quality in the right place. So we are investing into increased stock holding during the critical periods. We invested a lot into sophisticated logistical tools to make sure that we know where the products are. And as well, probably just the third part that is extremely important is our customers and working closely with them to make sure that we know where the forecast, as much as it's possible, it's going.
Yeah.
Because what Guillaume said earlier, if the product is getting, excuse me, delisted, it's extremely difficult to get it back on the shelf. In 2014, after that, it took 2 years for apricots to be back. So just keeping that consistency is the key, with quality controls, with supply chain resilience, and with making sure that communication is happening at the right time.
Yeah, thank you, Natalia. Benny, in Italy, as in much of Europe, we are seeing increasing pressure on importers to anticipate and mitigate sanitary risk, as Natalia was saying. So, particularly with these three products. So, are you handling these expectations? How are you handling these expectations on your end, especially with regards to lab testing, border controls, and communication with suppliers? And how are recent logistical uncertainties shaping your planning for seasonal products?
Well, in this context, with the three products present distinct challenges. Among these, the date stand cut due to the relative simplicity in the management. Its harvesting method, which avoids contact with the ground, significantly minimize the risk of mycotoxin in general and mold development. Apricots also present a few issues. However, in the organic sector that we are stronger than conventional, the potential presence of unauthorized pesticide residue is a crucial concern. To address this, we conduct a rigorous analysis on organic product at the departure, upon arrival, and on finished product. This ensures that the customers receive a product that fully reflects the characteristic justifying its premium price compared to conventional product. The fig, on the other hand, pose a greater challenge. Traditionally harvested from the ground, the big and huge rainfalls of the last 2 years coinciding with the harvest period, and that is a big problem and significantly increased the risk of mycotoxin development. This situation has led health authorities to intensify controls in general. Consequently, this year, we have experienced longer custom clearance and good inspection times, making management extremely complex. Considering that sale season is only 45 days, as I already explained before, have 60 days to the border, is quite impossible to manage the logistics on time. So at this point, we are trying to develop chemical and different resolution, but is not still clear and evident that those kind of investment could give us some good results.
Thank you. To close our discussion, I'd like to shift our focus to a topic that is both urgent and forward-looking. It's about technology and innovation. So one of the most critical challenges currently facing the date industry in particular is the growing scarcity of skilled labor. This is especially true for labor-intensive processes like sorting and pitting, which are essential to ensuring quality and food safety. In recent years, automation technologies have proven their efficiency and consistency, offering real solutions to reduce costs and improve quality. However, despite their clear short to mid-term return on investment, many producers are still hesitant to commit to such large-scale upgrades. This hesitation, the reason of this hesitation, is linked to harvest volatility in terms of quality and unstable global markets. These external factors make it increasingly difficult for businesses to confidently move forward high capital investment, no matter how promising the technology may be. So Guillaume, given that the fig and apricot also remain heavily dependent on manual labor, especially during harvesting and initial processing, how are you dealing with the growing labor shortages and rising labor costs? And do you see automation as a realistic path forward for your operations, or are there specific barriers, economic, technical, regulatory, that continue to hold you back?
Well, how are we dealing? I don't know how we are dealing with it, because honestly, it's at the moment we don't have the possibility to do the packs automatically. So the handmade bags will continue to be handmade until they are not made anymore, or there is a robot that can, malleably adjust that. At the moment, it's not there yet. Maybe it will be. I don't know really. The more simple thing is to go into loose retail packs like any other product. It hasn't really worked for the traditional dried figs, but for the soft product, yes, it works, and that is sold on a 12-month basis. But for the traditional Christmas rush, or the Ramadan rush, that has not yet happened. So,
okay. Yeah. While automation and technology are helping us address challenges in production, innovation doesn't stop at the processing lines. Increasingly, packaging itself is becoming a key area for transformation, driven by both environmental concerns and evolving consumer expectation. Let's now turn our attention to sustainable packaging, with what's being done, what's possible, and what challenges remain. So Benny, as consumers and especially younger generation, become more environmentally conscious, how is Noberasco responding to the growing demand for sustainable packaging solution? Are you experimenting with new formats or material that reduces waste while maintaining product quality? Also, we understand that Noberasco has recently added QR code on some of its packaging, so to enhance product traceability. Could you tell us more about this new initiative to support transparency and strengthen consumer trust?
Thank you for the very smart and interesting question. Really appreciate. But instead of giving you a real answer, I would like to tell you a story. Because the company that I represent has in his DNA to invest money in innovation, in new research, whatever we can offer to the final consumer. So in the last 10 years, winning even a lot of awards, we invested millions and millions of euros to find new solution. So you get ready all your stuff, you put everything on, full of positive purpose, you present the product to the buyers in general. They are very super happy to receive this new news or whatever. They used to do you congratulations, but at the end, the first feedback is you are too expensive. So it means that sometimes there is a real interest to do that, but the commercial result is not enough to sustain such a kind of investment. So we decided not to do a lot of, let me say, diversification, because we already have some paper pack that can be used on nuts, whatever. For soft product, it's quite more complicated because you have the process with it, temperature, etc., etc. So in order to do something new, is almost, I guess, 2 or 3 years that we used to put a QR code on the packaging that allow the final consumer to take a photo, and like you in like a Google Heart, the system bring you to the origin country, trying to explain which are the process, the harvesting, the method, etc., etc. Because in this, let me say, audit, every one of us knows perfectly those kind of things. But the final consumer is quite interested to receive those information from who wants offer you the product. So I guess that minimizing the investment, we got a quite good result.
Thank you, Benny. Natalia, the UK market is particularly sensitive to environmental impact. So how is Whitworth integrating sustainable packaging into its dried fruit portfolio? And how do you balance that with food safety, shelf life, and cost consideration?
So I think that the first question, that probably theoretical question that we would need to ask, what's actually driving all of that? Is it actually consumer or maybe corporate sustainability goals? And I would say that probably the latter. However, through working with our customers, we've been supporting their strategy on going with recyclable packaging. And probably the most important fact is that food safety is not negotiable. That's number one restriction and just reason what the packaging needs to deliver together with the shelf life and taking the product quality through that period. We put lots of effort, as you know, just as the industry, making sure that we are bringing the great quality product that delivers texture, flavor, and taste. And just it needs to be within the standards. So we've been working with our customers on recycled products and delivering packaging of that sort. And we applied the same strategy towards our brand. And we've delivered both plastic and paper options. And probably we can start separate discussion, which one is more beneficial and which one is better. However, just through the journey, through down gauging the specification, the product, the formats, and simplifying specifications, what we've managed to do is to actually save annually 50 tons of packaging. So through the last 5 years, and just to show what was the journey, 5 years ago, our recyclable packaging was 5% of the total portfolio. January 25, it was 97%, and by the end of this year, we aim to be 100%. I agree, that's not an easy topic.
Good. Thank you, Natalia. Tony, you've mentioned that in Spain, there is a growing trend toward bulk sales as a way to counter rising costs of sustainable packaging. Could you tell us more about this shift? And is this a temporary adaptation, or do you see more permanent move away from unit packaging in certain retail segments?
Yes, we're definitively seeing that because of such increasing of the packaging material costs, some medium and large stores and supermarkets have started to relocate certain products in their bulk section, where it's a little bit more visible, close to the cashiers, or in the fresh fruit section as well, in order to reduce the packaging expenses. Also, this strategy, I think it seeks to take advantage of the shopping impulse and facilitate access to products considered healthy and also sustainable, and offers clear environmental benefits, especially in order to reduce waste. The trend towards the sale of bulk nuts is expected to continue to grow, especially in urban environments and among young and environmentally conscious consumers. However, it's normal that the packaged format will continue to be relevant, especially for premium products or those that require a greater conservation.
Yeah. Thank you, Tony. Before closing our discussion, we have here 3 questions from the audience. First question, I'll begin with the date one. Dates have many health benefits. However, communication is very little. Can INC help in this aspect? Well, I was very happy to hear Tony Nadal yesterday, which was saying that Rafa Nadal was eating a lot of dates before his training. Unfortunately, I didn't see him eating dates during Roland Garros or this Grand Chelem. But yes, I think that INC can play an important role in promoting, and I think it's already doing it, but I think there is room to do more. Regarding apricots, Guillaume, there's a question for you saying how do apricot growers mitigate frost risks in coming years?
I don't know. I don't know, because frost is a risk that there is every year. So how do they mitigate it? They don't sell all of their crop. So they keep some. In case there is no crop, they have a stock. And one will hopefully compensate their returns by the price increase, which is what has happened this year. Of course, not everybody grower can do it. We all know probably the watering, sprinkling, or the wind blowing techniques that are installed. But when you have minus 13.5 degrees Celsius on a product in which the kernel is almost totally liquid at that stage, and even minus 1 degree is enough to damage it. I mean, you can blow all the wind you want, you can burn all the tires you want, or moisture the area. That frost is going to, and on top of it, we had snow on the tree. So I'm not going to say this is one in a 10 years, because we don't know. Maybe it happens again next year. But it's like it's a bad maybe analogy, but it's like an atomic bomb hit the area, and some trees will have to be culled, and we have to start anew. And the environment will change, and how people see the business will change. Maybe from this crisis something good will come, that the growers will try to have better techniques. And
yeah, absolutely. Final question, what can these traditional dried fruits learn from their nut counterparts? This is a big question. I think for dates, we have many things to learn, from the agricultural aspect to the industrial aspect and to the marketing aspects. This fruit has a long path for development, but the main one is on the farmer farming aspect, which is still traditional. And as our Bezana friend Ricardo was saying, we are talking about small growers with traditional practices for dates. So we need, well, in Tunisia and even in Algeria, we nowadays there is some investment in larger parcel with new technology, but they represent maybe 5% of the total production. So I think that there is a lot of improvement in the farming area. In the industrial area, as I was explaining, the critical point is the sorting. We are experiencing each year more and more heterogeneous crops that need to be sorted and resorted to meet the international and the customer specification. So we need to invest in machines that are able to sort. These machines exist. They need to be adapted maybe for the Deglet Nour, because they exist for other varieties, for Medjool, for example, and even for the Saudi varieties. Deglet Nour is different because it comes in different ways on the branch or in loose. Anyway, so many adaptations have to be done. And I think from the marketing side, also a lot of work need to be done collectively. Unfortunately, nowadays in Tunisia, the situation of the country doesn't help to do such work. We hope that the future will be better. So this is what I can say about this. Do you have any idea for figs and apricots?
Yeah, but it will take too long.
Sorry? It will take too long, okay. As we wrap up this roundtable, I'd like to sincerely thank each of our panelists for their valuable insights and thoughtful contribution, from production challenges linked to climate change to shifting consumer trends, logistical hurdles, and the promise of innovation. Our conversation today has just shown how interconnected and dynamic the dried fruit sector has become. So Guillaume, Tony, Benny, and Natalia, thank you very much for your contribution today. I think you have helped paint a comprehensive picture of where we are today and where we might be heading. So let's keep this dialogue going beyond today's session, because collaboration, adaptability, and innovation will be key to navigating the season ahead. Thank you all for being here, and thank you to our audience for your attention and your engagement. Thank you very much, and have a good day.